Hey, and we're live, ladies and germs. Just gonna cut right to the intro and then right into shit here because, well, it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I have done an episode of the Fuel, and it's for good reason. So, what's happening, ladies and germs? This is the PackerMan, and welcome to this edition of the Fuel, the final episode of the Fuel for the 2025 season. I should probably put that in there on the playlist. There we go. And there are a couple reasons why I decided to kind of stop doing reviews for this season, mainly when it comes to IMSA and IndyCar. I just kind of lost interest in doing it because I'm going to be quite frank, the racing this year across a lot of motorsports has been pretty fucking garbage. But I wanted to do one final episode, ironically enough, today, December the 1st, 2025, which is the day of the trial of the antitrust lawsuit between 2311 and Front Row Motorsports and NASCAR. And this episode of the field is titled, "We Need to Have a Serious Discussion About NASCAR." And that's not hyperbole. Because over the last several months, even though I haven't been watching a whole lot of NASCAR this year, I mean, in grand total, I think I've probably watched 9 races this year out of 36, which is quite the drop off when you consider that I used to watch the whole season because I was reviewing it. But this year, since I wasn't reviewing it, I literally had no incentive to watch it. So the only races I really watched were the Crown Jewels, both Talladegas, Chicago, Mexico, and Phoenix. And that's it. I just didn't give a fuck about the rest of it because it was basically just, the racing was just fucking garbage across the board. And then, of course, there was what happened in the championship finale. I mean, the fact of the matter is, I warned you all. I warned you all about this. The product is garbage. And a lot of that has to do with NASCAR leadership. Because I said in an episode, I can't remember if it was an episode of The Fuel or if it was an episode of Burnt Rubber, but I said that in its current form, NASCAR is irredeemable. And it will continue to be irredeemable as long as current leadership is in charge. And I say that because when you look at some of the stuff that has recently been exposed due to this lawsuit, it just kind of makes you go, a lot of people are just going, holy shit. And I'm like, yeah, I am not surprised. This is what I've been saying this entire time. And I've been trying to tell y'all, NASCAR does not want this to go to trial. They do not want this to go to the discovery phase. And yet NASCAR, as usual, their hubris is too goddamn big for them to see over the fucking windshield. I mean, they don't know their own ass from a hole in the ground on a goddamn golf course. And it's shown. I warn them, you need to settle with these teams, otherwise your entire business is going to be exposed for what it is. I personally sent out that warning to NASCAR, and I mean, they weren't going to listen to someone like me. I mean, I'm just a random asshole with a microphone. But after everything that's gone on the last couple months, yeah, I was correct all this time. And in regards to the championship finale, that was about as apathetic a feeling as I've ever felt watching a season finale. Because as soon as that caution came out for that blown tire, which, there were a lot of blown tires, and a lot of people were like, well, it's on the teams for putting the tire pressures low. Like, give me a fucking break. Like, I'm sick and fucking tired of people giving Goodyear the benefit of the doubt. Because let's be completely honest here, Goodyear's tires, including their, the tires for like everyday cars, they're fucking garbage. Let's just be completely real here. Their tires are trash. And the fact that they've been the tire supplier of NASCAR for as long as they have is quite frankly fucking criminal. I mean, if it was just one team, one particular team having tire problems, then I'd understand it. But when you have all four championship contenders having problems, multiple different teams having problems, it kind of gets to the point where maybe it's not a team problem. Maybe it's a fucking Goodyear problem. And in the championship race, no less. And as soon as that tire went down on William Byron's car, basically ripping the championship right out of Denny Hamlin's hands, I was like, yep. I expected this. And then, of course, he ends up not winning the championship, and instead it's Kyle Larson. Fun fact, under the full points system, like if we were using full season points under this current points table, he actually scored the most points over the course of the season. So when you go by that, I mean, he is basically the rightful champion. But even then, it still feels like he fell ass backwards into it, which he kind of did on both counts. Because if it wasn't for William Byron having that flat tire, then William Byron would have had the most points over the course of the season for a second straight year under this points system. And then, of course, if he used the Latford system, Christopher Bell would have been the champion 2 years running. So even though Kyle Larson is probably the rightful champion based on the fact that he did score the most points over the course of the season, it just feels empty. And the other thing is, it felt like a lot of times he was out to lunch for most of the second half of the season. He hasn't won since May. He didn't lead a single goddamn lap in the Phoenix race, and yet, because he shined when the lights were brightest, he ended up as the champion. And that leads me to fucking Mama Smith. Like, I can't stand that motherfucker. Like, he is about as big a ball goggler of NASCAR as anybody you'll ever find in the industry. Because he is just one of those people that will just gladly suck NASCAR's ball sack regardless if they're in the right or they're in the wrong. And you can quite frankly add Jordan Bianchi to that list. He basically showed his true colors over the course of this season. Had a lot of respect for him once upon a time as a a NASCAR journalist, but he's pretty much shown his true colors as a playoff dick sucker. And he's become more and more insufferable as the year has gone on. You can even see the look on Jeff Gluck's face because he has to work with this fucking clown every week on the teardown. And there are certain cases where you can see the look on his face. It's like, I really don't want to work with this guy anymore. Because he's become an insufferable prick as well. And it's because of these bootlicking bastards why NASCAR is in the shape that it's in now. I mean, it's like that Hulk Hogan deal from WCW Nitro all those years ago when he basically did a shoot promo on Vince Russo. He was like, that's why this company is in the shape that it's in right now, because of bullshit like this. And that's not the only thing. It was revealed recently that there was some text going on between the executives in NASCAR, including both of the Steves and some other people within the company, talking about how they needed to put a knife in the superstar racing experience. Y'all remember that? SRX? When it took the stock car racing world by storm years ago? And had such a phenomenal first season that it literally scared the bejesus out of the NASCAR executives to the point where they said they needed to put a knife in it. Now, if that's not monopolistic behavior, I don't know what is. And then, of course, there were the comments that were made about Richard Childress, saying that he should be taken out back and flogged, and that he's nothing but a stupid redneck. Here's the thing. I know a lot of people will say, well, I mean, a lot of other people were saying that about Richard Childress as well. What makes it so bad? And here's the thing with this. Have I had my criticisms of Richard Childress? Absolutely. Because I've had my criticisms of him, how he's handled certain things, how he's run his company, his race team, the whole 9 yards. I've certainly had my criticisms of Richard Childress in the past. But here's the thing. There's a difference between a disgruntled fan criticizing Richard Childress versus someone who literally helps run the fucking sport. As an executive of NASCAR, there's a certain level of professionalism that is expected of you. This kind of shit, where he's basically perpetuating violence against Richard Childress, regardless if it was in jest or not, that sort of thing is a fireable offense. And regardless of whether they can use it or not in the lawsuit, in the trial that is going on right now, regardless of whether or not it can be used, in the court of public opinion, this is not just a PR nightmare for NASCAR. This is worst case scenario. I mean, this is an absolute PR nightmare for the company. Because if you have your top executives talking about this, about somebody who has been as much responsible for the growth of NASCAR as NASCAR has been for his growth, I mean, how do you think they feel about the fans? I mean, it's evident that they don't give a flying fuck about the fans. They only care about the money. And they think everything is all hunky-dory, and, you hear people like Mamba Smith and all these other people, and fucking the people on Sirius XM, Dave Moody and Kyle Petty, who Kyle Petty doesn't think the Gen 7 deserves the criticism that it's been getting, which he's full of shit, because he's a NASCAR shill through and through. Because it's like, of course he's gonna defend the Gen 7 car. He gets that he gets that paycheck from NASCAR. He gets down on his hands and knees and sucks their ball sack sight unseen. Enough to make a fucking prostitute jealous, I'll tell you that much. But, there are a lot of people saying, well, there are probably going to be no winners from this lawsuit. And that might be true. And there are some people say, well, this might end up, causing this company to burn to the ground. I say good. Because let's be honest here. There needs to be changing of the guard type of changes with this company. Because as long as current leadership is in place, this company will never reach the heights that it did in the 2000s ever again. Because as far as I'm concerned, current leadership is not fit to lead this company. And that's period, point blank, end of discussion. What do I want to see come out of this lawsuit? I'll tell you what I want to see come out of this lawsuit. I want change. Because it's pretty evident that the product, it is just about as bad as it's ever been. People are fed up with the bullshit. They're fed up with the playoff format. They're fed up with the bullshit officiating. They're fed up with everything about this company. And we've all been saying the same thing. The format needs to change. And they keep saying that the format is going to change. We don't know what the hell it's going to be next year. But I'll tell you this much. If it's nothing less than a 30... some people keep saying, well, a good compromise, would be to bring the chase back. No. No compromises. This company does not deserve a single fucking bit of compromise. If next year's format is anything less than 36 races, it is a fucking fail. Just look at the Supercars series this year over in Australia. There are people criticizing them for going to a playoff format as well. Because they had a guy that had 13 wins this year, like 13, 14 wins this year, but didn't end up with the championship because someone else forgot where the fucking brakes were in the last race. Like, that's how you want to crown your champion? Like, we shouldn't have to have these kind of discussions every single fucking year about the legitimacy of the champion. And that's what this format does. And it needs to change. It needs to be going back to 36, nothing less. That being said, here's the thing about that. Fixing the championship format is not going to fix the tailspin of popularity that NASCAR is in. Because, let's be honest here, that ship sailed and sank a long time ago. But it would be a huge first step in the right direction. Because then, once that's fixed, then this company can focus on the other major problems that this company has. Because the Gen 7 car is fundamentally broken. It is the most expensive car that has ever been produced, and the records show it. The advertising is garbage. They can't advertise where the fuck. IndyCar has a lot of the same problems, especially in that regard. The officiating is god awful. You think the NFL has terrible officiating, Jesus Christ. NASCAR at times makes the NFL look competent. And after all of those text messages came out, another big change that needs to be made is everybody involved in leadership needs to resign. Because if we don't, at the very least, if we don't come out on the other side of this with the resignations of both of the Steves and Jim France, then this company is fucked. And you know what? Maybe it needs to burn to the ground. A lot of people say, well, and Judge Bell even himself said, well, this is probably going to burn this whole company to the ground. And you know what? Maybe that's for the best. Because here's the fact of the matter. The NASCAR that we all knew and loved It died a long time ago. What we've been seeing since is nothing. It's been nothing but a shambling corpse that's been just walking forth, just trying to putter along, trying to survive. And yeah, NASCAR was able to somehow finagle a $7.7 billion television deal. I don't know how the fuck they managed to con their broadcast partners from that. I mean, I don't know how the hell they managed to get that kind of money, but I'll guarantee you this: with the way television ratings are going and with how apathetic this fan base is toward this product, I guarantee you that when the time comes for rights renewals, they will not be getting $7.7 billion because the television ratings from this year have been some of the lowest we've ever seen. And they're actually starting to be surpassed by Formula One, of all fucking things. You know, and let's be honest here, even though Formula One has a pretty good championship battle going on right now, the on-track product actually kind of sucks. I mean, a lot of the times it's just fucking boring. But despite that, they're starting to surpass NASCAR in terms of popularity. The U.S. Grand Prix at Las Vegas, well, actually, it should be called, I think it's called the Vegas Grand Prix, earned 1.5 million viewers. Just to give you an idea, the New Hampshire playoff race only got about 1.2 million. That's not cause for concern. And the thing is, some of these people are like, well, it's because of the NFL. Well, it's because of on cable. It's because of this. It's because of that. I am sick and fucking tired of the excuses. And that's all they are. It's just a bunch of fucking excuses. Because here's the fact of the matter. If NASCAR's product was actually engaging and compelling and interesting, the fans would go out of their fucking way to watch it regardless of what channel it's on. But because the product has just been so garbage, especially with this Gen 7 car being so fundamentally broken, a lot of people are just like, you know what, fuck it. It's not worth it. And yeah, you had some people that were pretty pissed off about the finale, but it seemed like another major reaction was apathy. Because the championship felt empty. And there's some people that I knew said, well, it wasn't empty. And I said, to me it was. Because I literally just sat there as it ended and I just didn't feel a fucking thing. I mean, I felt nothing. I just didn't give a shit one way or the other. And I like Kyle Larson. I think he's one hell of a race car driver. But this second championship just felt empty. Especially compared to his first championship. I mean, that one, he was on his comeback tour, his redemption tour. You know, and after winning the championship, after literally having to sit for an entire year, the previous year, after a Freudian slip, I mean, a lot of NASCAR drivers don't come back from that after having to sit for an entire year. I mean, a lot of Cup drivers just can't come back from that. And yet he was able to, and not only was he able to, he rolled off 10 fucking wins in 2021 and won the championship and completed his redemption arc. That was a big deal. And it made the championship, despite the fact that it was in a playoff format, actually feel like a big deal because of the story that surrounded it. But Larson's second championship this past year, it just feels empty. Even though he can be considered the rightful champion based on the fact that he did earn the most points this year under this points format. And yet it still felt like he fell ass backwards into it. That's not the way it should feel. That's not the way it should be. And you can thank NASCAR leadership for that because this is not something that's happened overnight. This is something that has damaged the integrity of this company and this sport over the last 20 years. And I guarantee you, if this company does not course correct and fix its shit, there will not be a NASCAR in the next 10 to 20 years. Mark my words. And I know some people might scoff at that, but it's not the only big uh, racing entity that could end up going 6 feet under. I mean, a big example: kart, championship auto racing teams. It was a big deal in its heyday. Biggest open wheel racing series in America. Of course, it had the Indianapolis 500, it had superstars of open wheel racing. But then it had a lot of the same problems that NASCAR has now: greed, mismanagement, the whole 9 yards. And what ended up happening? Open wheel racing ended up splitting apart. The Indy Racing League was formed. And a lot of the big teams jumped ship over there. And what remained had rebranded kart as Champ Car. But it was just never the same. And it eventually folded in 2008 and was reabsorbed back into IndyCar. And even though open wheel racing was reunited, they're still trying to recover from that. They still haven't completely recovered from that. Even though this year they saw some of the highest ratings that they've seen in years. And a lot of people were like, well, if the champion clinches early, then there's no point in watching the race. Yeah, well, the IndyCar finale this year would like to have a word with you. Because I think it was like 1.5 million people watched that race, despite the fact that Alex Palou had clinched the championship like 2 races before because of how dominant he was, which, by the way, in IndyCar doesn't happen all that fucking often. If you clinch the championship early in IndyCar, you have done a yeoman's job. And Alex Palou, he is a fucking generational talent. 4 championships in only 6 seasons in IndyCar? That's insanity. And this year, he actually started winning on oval. So it's like, yeah, these guys are fucked. Because he won the Indianapolis 500, and then he won at Iowa on another oval, a short oval. So it's like, shit, he's unlocked the ability to win on ovals. These guys are screwed. But if there's one thing I hope comes out of this lawsuit, I hope that shit changes with this company, because it is badly needed. Changing the championship format, it's only one part of the cog. Because this company has a lot more problems than just the format. The format is a huge sticking point, but it's only one part of the cog. I feel like in order for this company to move forward, then we need new leadership. And like I said, if we don't come out of this with at least the resignations of both of the Steves and Jim France, then this company is fucked. And I don't see a future for it in the next 10 to 20 years. I really don't. But I guess we'll have to wait and see. Wait and see what happens. But anyway, that's going to do it for this edition of The Fuel. The last episode of 2025. I might consider going back to doing NASCAR reviews next year. But if they keep the playoff format, then I'm just not going to acknowledge it. I'm only going to acknowledge full season points. Because I'm done acknowledging this fucking piece of shit format. So that's how I feel about that. But thank you very much for watching this edition of The Fuel. And, well, till next season, hopefully. This is the PackerMan signing out. And I hope to God that change is made, because this company needs it in the worst possible way. It needs it if it's going to survive. Hey, ladies and germs, just want to say thank you for watching tonight's video. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button, and also check out my other channels, Isaac the Survivalist and Our Honor Defend Archives, if you're a Buckeye fan. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you again next time.